You don't want none! You don't want none!
Is that not one of the greatest things you've ever seen? What's going on, Tar Heel Nation? It is your favorite North Carolinian, Russ the Tar Heel. And in this episode, we're going to break down the Kentucky Wildcats and the North Carolina Tar Heels meeting in Atlanta for the CBS Sports Classic, December 16th at 5:30 on CBS. And I'm not going to lie, this is one of my favorite games to watch, and I think that we should play this stinking game every freaking year, man. UNC Kentucky, UNC Kansas, UNC Duke, when Blue Bloods get together, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you like that little rendition. If you need me to sing at your wedding or anything like that, I can be reached at the tarheelhuddle@gmail.com. All right? Kidding. So before we dive into this thing, though, I definitely want to look at the updated top 25 rankings, and surprise, North Carolina remains at number 9 in the AP poll. I'm not going to lie, dude. I'm completely shocked by that. Usually when you take an L, you're going to drop down. It doesn't matter if you lose to the number 1 team in the country. Carolina loses to number 5 UConn by double digits, and they remain at number 9 in the AP poll. And they actually move up one spot in the coaches poll to number 9 as well. So I'm not going to lie. If I told you that I saw that coming, I'd be lying to you. Now, Kentucky comes in at 14 and 15, respectively. Now, before we get into the details of the 2023 rendition of this infamous battle, you already know that your boy likes to look at the head-to-head and the history of these two programs, especially between juggernauts like Kentucky and North Carolina. According to NCAA.com, the University of Kentucky and the University of North Carolina are number 2 and number 3, respectively, in most wins all time as a program. Now, that's kind of news to me. I thought Kentucky was 1, Kansas or North Carolina were 2 and 3, but NCAA.com has Kentucky at number 2 and North Carolina at number 3. Kentucky's first year was 1903, and they have accumulated 2,382 wins. North Carolina's first year was 1910, and they have accumulated 2,350 wins. Both teams trail Kansas with 2,394 wins. So all these teams are kind of right there, bottlenecking at the top. There have been 80 NCAA tournaments since 1939. Kentucky has been to 57, followed by North Carolina with 49. Sweet 16 appearances, Kentucky 44. North Carolina second with 35. Elite Eights, Kentucky 38. UNC 29. This is where it kind of swaps a little bit. Final Fours, North Carolina 21. Kentucky 17. Titles, Kentucky 8. UNC 6. But don't forget about old Mr. 1924 back there. Don't forget about that little guy. But 6 NCAA tournament titles. So you can see that these two powerhouses are the standard. And what is more exciting than watching two Goliaths go at it in the ring? So let's dive into this thing. North Carolina leads the all-time head-to-head series with Kentucky 25-17. The first ever meeting between these two teams was way back in February 29th, 1924, in which Carolina beat the Cats 41 20. And actually, UNC won the first 3 meetings ever between the two schools. The Kentucky Wildcats are led by head coach John Calipari, who has amassed a combined 797 wins to 253 losses, good for a 759 winning percentage, and he's 394 and 115 at Kentucky, good for a 774 winning percentage. Those are big numbers. The Kentucky Wildcats' leading scorer is 6'6", 195-pound guard Antonio Reeves, who is averaging 18 points per game, 4.6 boards, and 1.6 assists per game. Kid is long, he's athletic, and he will hoist them. He scored 24 points against Kansas. On 7 for 25 from the field and 3 for 17 from 3. I mean, attempting 17 three-pointers in a basketball game, that's astronomical. I can't understand it or fathom it. It's crazy numbers. 3 for 17 from 3. But he can get hot. So you have got to stay in this kid's chest. And that was kind of an anomaly in that the dude is shooting 51% from the floor for the season and 43.1% from 3. Those are scary numbers for a guard, or from a guard, if you will, man. So you got to stay in Reeves' chest, man. He is a baller, and you can't let him get hot. DJ Wagner is a 6'4", 192-pound freshman guard who's averaging 12.6 points per game, 1.8 boards, and 3.8 assists. He's shooting 41% from the floor. Then you have 6'8", 203-pound freshman guard Justin Edwards, who's averaging 9.8 points per game, 4.2 boards. He's shooting 46.6% from the field, but only 26% from 3. 6'8" sophomore guard Adu Thiero is averaging 7.8 points per game and 6.4 rebounds. He's shooting 53.5% from the field and only 17% from 3, so that's not really his strong suit. Now, Kentucky's big man, if you will, 6'9", senior forward Trey Mitchell is averaging 13.2 points per game, 6.3 rebounds, and 3.9 assists. He's shooting 53.7% from the field and 34.5% from 3. Now, here's where it's kind of like a wild card, if you will. A wild card for the Wildcats, or 3 of them, if you will, because they usually go about 8 players deep in their rotation. The Wildcats have 7'1" freshman forward Aaron Bradshaw. Anytime you're 7'1" and you're considered a forward, that's insane. Anyway, he's averaging 10 points per game, 6.5 boards, and he's shooting 61.5% from the field. Reed Shepherd, this kid is averaging 13 points per game and shooting 61.2% from the field and 59% from 3. Oh, my goodness. And that kid will pull it from deep, man. Just look at some stinking clips of Reed Shepherd. I'm talking about 5, 6, 7 feet from behind the arc, man. Just jacking them. I mean, knocking them down. So, you can't give that kid a lot of room at all. And Reed Shepherd will jack him, so will stinking Rob Dillingham. He's only averaging 14.1 points per game himself. So all 3 main guys off of their bench are giving you double figures. That's impressive. That is stinking impressive, Tar Heel Nation. And so when Kentucky goes to their bench, this isn't necessarily like Carolina going to their bench. They're going to their bench, and these guys are stinking scoring. These are really good players off the bench. But now, I don't want to talk them up too much. I'm going to be truthful with you. But now that we've looked at the bad guys in royal blue, I hate that stinking color, man. Kentucky, Duke, you just can't stand that stinking color. Let's look at the heroes in Carolina blue. Now, real quick, I don't know if you guys know this. I'm sure you do, Tar Heel Nation. But for all the Kentucky fans out there, the Duke fans that are tuning in for whatever reason, you guys know that God is a Tar Heel, right? I mean, ask yourself, why else is the sky Carolina blue? I just thought that I would throw that in there real quick, man. Just a little food for thought. So the North Carolina Tar Heels are led by head coach hubertdavis, who is 56-25 in his 3rd year, good for a 691 winning percentage. The Heels' leading scorer is 6 foot, 180-pound senior guard RJ Davis, who is averaging 21 points per game, good for 18th in the stinking country. 3.2 boards and 2.3 assists per game. Now, can RJ keep up this pace? I think it's like 5 straight games where he scored over 20. That's ridiculous. He has been ridiculously good on the offensive side of the ball now that Elliott's got the point on lock, man. It's been great to see RJ scoring without the ball, or bringing the ball up, if you will, playing the point guard position. The Hill starting point guard is, like we just talked about, Elliot Cadeau, 6'1", 180-pound freshman who was averaging 7.1 points per game, 1.6 rebounds, and 4.1 assists. Cadeau shooting 44.9% from the floor, largely in part to his ability to get to the bucket off that quick first step, man. Not a lot of guys have proven that they can stay in front of him. If he wants to attack, he can get to the rim, man. Elliott can get to the rim, and it doesn't matter how big you are. He seems like that first step is just, it's explosive, man, and he's only going to continue to get better. Now, he is only shooting 27% from 3 and 54% from the line, so those are areas to keep an eye on, but hopefully he can find that stroke and bring those numbers up as the season goes along. Now, 6'5", 195-pound senior guard Cormac Ryan is averaging 10.4 points per game, 2.9 rebounds, and 1.8 assists. But as you can see, he's only shooting 32.9% from the field and 25.5% from 3. Cormac has got to improve these numbers if he is to continue to get the majority of the minutes at his position. Cormac brings great energy on both sides of the ball, but he has got to be more efficient on the offensive end, especially if Carolina is going to do big things, man. We saw, if Cormac knocks down a couple more shots, especially some open looks where it looks like he's kind of rushing those 3 balls against UConn, we might be singing a different song. Carolina might be 8-1, top 5 in the country. Now hopefully, those things will come to fruition as the season progresses, but we need more from Cormac. He's got to be more consistent, especially with those open looks. Now, on the other side of that, huge bright spot. 6'7", 235-pound forward Harrison Ingram is averaging 15.1 points per game, 6.4 boards, and 2.6 assists. He's shooting 48.5% from the field and 46.3% from 3. And I want to continue to get Harrison threes that he can step into. He might have the best stroke on the team right now, including RJ Davis. I mean, when Harrison steps into it, it's clean. Good form, good stroke, and he's shooting 48.5% from the field and 46% from the 3. That's tops on the team. So you feel pretty good when he has the ball in his hands, whether he's bullying people down low or he's stepping into an open, 3 ball. You got to feel good about yourself when Harrison is taking a shot. And then we have the preseason All-American, 6'11", 240-pound senior forward, Armando Bacon. That's my best, announcer voice. So sometimes it's really good. I think it's pretty good. Sometimes it's terrible. I don't know. You guys tell me in the comments section. He's averaging 59 points per game, 11.9 boards. He's shooting 51% from the field, 78.6% from the line. All that did come down a little bit because they only went 5 for 10 from the line against UConn. We are going to need the garbage man in this one, which leads us to Russ's 3 keys to the game. Or you could just say what Russ is looking for to happen so that Carolina can get the W. Now, key number one, let the garbage man work. And this, you're going to hear me say this all throughout the season. Should just get used to it. UNC needs to work the ball inside out, especially when Trey Mitchell is in the game. If Carolina can get him into a little bit of foul trouble, just a little bit of foul trouble, and force Kentucky to bring in the freshman, Bradshaw, the 7'1" kid, yes, I'm going to take my super senior all day against the 18 and 19-year-old, even though he's given up 2 to 3 inches. I don't care. I want my 23-year-old banging with an 18, 19-year-old. I want that all stinking day. Mando needs to be assertive in this game. He needs to establish good position, and after he establishes good position down low on those blocks, he needs to demand the basketball. We need him big in this game. Key number 2, UNC got little to no help from their bench at all in the loss to UConn last week. Trimble had 2 points. Wojcik had 2 points for a grand total of 4 points. That is not going to sting and cut it. Remember when I said that Kentucky's bench has 3 players averaging double figures? Yeah, that's not the case on Carolina's bench. So not only is Coach Davis going to have to give these guys some extended minutes to save those legs, when they get in the game, they have got to stinking produce, man. They've got to get a little bit more from the offensive side of things when these guys get on the floor. We've seen Seth Trimble have a double-figure game. Look good doing it. Be assertive when you're in there, bro. Take it to the bucket, man. Take it to the bucket. It feels like the past couple of games, man, it feels like right now Carolina's got RJ, Harrison, and Armando, and that's who they have to score all the points. That's just what it feels like to me, at least. Who's going to step up off the bench? Can Seth give you 8 to 10 points per game? That'd be huge, man. He played 16 minutes last week. We have to find some offense off of the bench. Jalen Washington, another one. We need some offense from these guys, man. Key number 3. Cormac has got to turn up, bro. Cormac's got to turn up. Ryan had some good looks last week. We've already talked about this, that he simply just could not capitalize on. And they were in some spots that could have seriously turned the tide of that UConn game. When Cormac is open, he needs to hit some threes. His shots do look a little bit rushed, whether he's open or somebody's in his chest. It seems like he's just kind of rushing, trying to get the shot off. We need Cormac to hit 2, 3 threes a night if UNC is going to beat some of these upper echelon teams. And that will lead us into Russ's score prediction. So first, the ESPN matchup indicator gives the North Carolina Tar Heels a 53.2% chance of beating the Kentucky Wildcats. I think Kentucky's averaging like 90 points per game. Carolina's averaging like 85 points per game. And then Kentucky and North Carolina are both averaging giving up like 72, 73 points per game. So it's almost a wash. Both teams like to get up and down. They like to score some points. It's pretty evenly matched there as far as what they're producing and what they're giving up. Which basically means that this is a toss-up game as far as the ESPN matchup indicator is concerned. And I agree with that. Either one of these teams can walk away out of Atlanta with the W in this game. Kentucky is a long and athletic team. How do the Carolina guards handle the size discrepancy? Remember, we got 6 foot, 6'1" guards. All their guys are 6'4", 6'5", 6'7", 6'8". You know, that is a huge size discrepancy. Can Armando bang and get to the line to soften up that interior and open up the shooters on the outside? Now, the Heels showed a ton of grit against UConn last week. They were in there, man. They battled, and UConn would push it out. Carolina would shrink it down. UConn would push it out. Carolina would shrink it down. And then they just kind of ran out of gas at the end of the game. But I admired the fight from these Heels. And I told you guys that I personally believed that it was a good thing. It was something that they'd be able to learn from, and it would bode well in the future. I think you see the fruits of that game right here 11 days later on the 16th. And I think Carolina has a similar game, but as opposed to running out of gas and falling just a little bit short, you see their growth. And they beat the Kentucky Wildcats 85-83 behind. Check this out. I think Cormac is going to have himself a game. At least it'll be the type of game where you say, hey, that was the difference. Cormac going 0 for 6 from 3 against UConn. Yeah, we saw how that happened. Cormac knocking down some threes in some big spots against Kentucky. Now we see where this team can go when he becomes a viable scoring threat. Need him to be more consistent. And I think that you're going to see Cormac knock a couple down, man. I just got a feeling. Call it a hunch. Call it a hunch. Maybe I just want to see him play well. But I think Cormac is he's gonna come up big in this game. I just got a hunch, man. I think RJ doesn't score 20 in this game. I think they're going to kind of key on him a little bit, but he still gets over 15, and he's obviously doing RJ Davis things. I think you still have, Harrison just being a stat stuffer, giving you great intensity on both ends of the floor. And I think Mando continues to stinking do his thing, man. He has a double-double. I think he's going to have a big game on the glass, man. I really do. I think Mando's going to have a big game on the glass. He's going to collect a lot of boards in this game. Maybe 15. Call it like 15 boards, man. I just got a hunch on that too. And if you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and consider becoming a member of the Huddle Hooligans. It's only $4.99 a month, man, and it really does help support the channel. It helps us reach all of Tar Heel Nation until every Tar Heel Nation member understands that the Tar Heel Huddle is here, and this is where Carolina family congregates. December 16th, baby, we will be live for the Kentucky game, but there's a slight caveat. It's only going to be the second half because your boy has to work until 6:15. Tentatively, kind of, sort of. I will be watching the first half. I just can't go live during the first half. So I'm going to get off work, come home. We'll be hot for the second half. So you make sure that you come and hang out with your boy during the Carolina-Kentucky game, man. I can't stinking wait. We're going to watch Carolina handle business, baby. So make sure to come hang out with me, man. I love you, Tar Heel Nation. I can't wait for the 16th. I'll catch you on the next one, baby.